do you remember how IPL used to come during a summer vacation time? There used to be a face-off between Gale and Michael Hussey and all of that. I really enjoyed those times. I think Tokyo 2020 saw a huge achievement space for women in general.
Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of SporTank Originals. This is episode 7 and we've had a lot of people in this podcast. We've had a lot of amazing people in this podcast, but if there is one wholesome conversation everybody was looking forward to, I was looking forward to, then it'll be this particular conversation. If there was one particular guest everybody was looking forward to, then it is Shirin Pajnoo. Today we've got one of the most amazing people in the podcast, somebody who can simply blow you away with her charisma and aura. Whenever she's writing, whenever she's speaking, Shirin is one of the most erudite writers I've ever met, one of the most avid public speakers, and I think one of the most knowledgeable people I've ever met. Because whenever I talk to Shirin, I know that I will emerge out richer from every conversation. I know that she's one of the most well-read people, one of the most knowledgeable people when it comes to this industry, when it comes to any topic in general. So today, it's my absolute pleasure and my absolute honor to host Shirin Pajnoo, one of my dearest friends from college, one of the best people I know in the journalism industry. So firstly, thank you so much, Shirin, for coming in our podcast and for gracing us with your presence.
Hello. Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. I think it's the first time someone has ever introduced me, and I feel pleased to be here because wow, I was just listening to the introduction, and I was like, wow, I am so many things.
Yes, you
But yeah,
are.
thank you.
But yeah, we're really humbled. Thank you so much for coming, and I really hope you have a great conversation because I cannot wait to jump in and pick your brains in some topics which I am very fascinated about, and I'm sure even you will have a good time. But before starting, Shireen, I wanted to know how are you doing? How are things going at home? I mean, this pandemic has actually left us thinking and has changed our perspective on a lot of topics. So, how exactly are you doing right now?
So I'm doing really well, much better than a few months back. But yeah, I think the pandemic has taken a toll on many people's mental health. But touch wood, it has been great for me. I like being around my family, my friends, and these short trips I take with my friends and with my family. They've been keeping me going. Of course, we all do miss college and the hostel life, but ऐसी चलती है life and it's going well. So I just hope that everyone out there who's also facing anything, any issue, any mental health issue, they hold up well and God give them more strength. So yeah, and also I'm looking forward to this conversation. So let's start.
Absolutely. I think we all know how much you love road trips, and you talked about mental health as well. I'm going to touch upon mental health and how important is it to actually stay true to yourself and also not to hide mental health. I'm going to talk about all of that. But Shireen,
Absolutely.
during the last 2 months, you were a part of one of the biggest news media houses in India, one of the biggest news TV channels, NewsX. I'm sure you've had a lot of learnings, a lot of good learnings on the way. So if you could shed some light, I can see a bright smile on your face. So I'm guessing it must be there must be a lot of learnings, a lot of takeaways from that part of your life. So if you could just shed some light on how things panned out for you at NewsX.
So well, when I landed the internship, my first reaction was to just switch on the TV, open the NewsX channels, turn on the NewsX channel, and just sit and just watch. So I was just observing the channel for a while, and I was like, okay, I am a part of this now, a small part, but I need to give my best. And the one thing which really bothered me was that considering the current circumstances, the internship was work from home. So that I felt was a something which I wouldn't appreciate because first I'm working in a news channel, but I'm also working from home. But then later on, I felt really grateful for the opportunity because my seniors, my reporting authorities, they made sure that the whole environment. So I was allotted the role of an output desk intern, and we know that how output desk, the environment cannot be even nearly simulated in a work from home position because you have the production control room, the master control room, and sitting around so many TVs and just watching how it all runs. But my reporting authorities and my seniors, they made sure that I felt at home. So they used to send me the pictures, and the videos of how the workings used to happen. And then they used to clarify my doubts. So I'm a very curious person and I ask a lot of questions. So every time they send teasers or top bands which run in the news channel, I used to ask them that, ये कैसे होता है? So they used to send me videos from the newsroom, and they used to tell me कि ये ऐसे जाता है, this is the main computer, this is how it is recorded, and all of that. So that felt very different because it was a first, and overall it was a very enriching and fulfilling experience. And in one way, I believe that I have grown a lot because when I entered the newsroom, I my major focus was, I'm a journalism student, and all I need to do is journalism. So writing news, updating the breaking news stories, and everything. But it all took a turn when they asked me to even do a little bit of designing. And I was like, why will they ask me to do designing? And I thought it would be, a one time thing or a two-time thing. But I found myself making teasers on Canva, on Illustrator every Friday. And I sort of started enjoying it. So I realized that things come to you in the most unexpected ways. I am never a fan of designing. I was never a fan of designing, but as and when the internship proceeded, I liked making those teasers. And after a point, I found myself enjoying making those teasers. So I think I have even grown in that way. And also, one more thing is that it is very important to realize that when you enter the industry, it's not only the skills you have that are being possessed. You need to learn a diverse set of skills. वो कहते थे ना पहले कि jack of all trades, master of none. पर आजकल jack of all trades ही चलते हैं. You need to be a little well versed in every subject in order to move forward. That was my one major takeaway from this internship. So yeah, I'm very grateful and I am looking forward for more internships. जिसमें I just keep growing and have some hands-on experience with more things.
I think great points which you've raised over here, a very insightful part of the podcast, but I completely second you. I feel that a lot of us were robbed of any, learning we could have, any exposure we would have got when we actually go there. You look at any news website or you look at the input desk, I mean, you can still get that kind of experience when you're sitting back at home. But for an output desk intern, for the entire output desk, as you talked about MCR, PCR, it's literally impossible to actually have that kind of environment. But I'm still so glad that you could honestly get a lot of takeaways even from sitting back at home, and your inquisitiveness has always made you one of the most knowledgeable persons, I think, because that particular trait really is lacking in a lot of people. People take things for granted, but I'm so glad that you're looking forward to more. And thank you for all the insights you've given us, because I feel people who don't even come from journalism backgrounds, even they, when they listen to this particular part of the podcast, they'll love it. And thank you, Shirin, for that. I hope that all of us get more internships. All of us now go to the offices and have a more enriching experience than what we've had right now. But Shirin, I mean, I know what a big supporter of CSK you are. I know that you've been following the incredible Premier League for a very long time, right? From the very first season it started. I think we've had a lot of conversations about how CSK is better than most of the teams, but still KKR is the best
Right.
out of all of the lot. So we've had a lot of
We'll
conversations
talk
like
about
this.
it. Yeah, we'll
Right.
talk about it.
Yeah, but I wanted to dissect the trajectory of IPL. I think when the IPL started, so a lot of people don't know this, that IPL was initially a spin-off. It honestly wasn't the very original concept. There was something called ICL, the International Cricket League, Indian Cricket League. The ICL initially happened, but then it received a lot of flack since it wasn't accredited by BCCI or ICC. So therefore, IPL happened. So the founder, the mastermind behind IPL, Lalit Modi, he did not know how much IPL will take off. But look at it right now. I think it's one of the biggest GDP generators of India as well. It's so many $1 billion are
Right.
involved. It's a $1 billion industry. It's just, money making process. So how do you feel that the IPL has become a $1 billion industry? You feel that it was destined to become, or in the journey there has been something? What makes the IPL such a successful affair and one of the best T20 leagues in the world?
Right. I think you've put forth a great question because I have never looked at IPL as a major revenue generator or as a very huge billion-dollar industry. So when IPL started off, I think we were just what 9 or 10, right? And when IPL took off, it used to be just my friends and family, all of us getting together, and with some cold drinks and some chips, watching the match, and just supporting teams you don't know anything about. So I'll tell you how I started off. I have been supporting CSK and watching IPL ever since Michael Hussey and M.
Mm-hmm.
Vijay used to open for
Hmm.
CSK. They used to be the opening batsman, right? And Michael Hussey was my favorite. I don't know why. So it just started off with the fact that MS Dhoni is in CSK, so I will support CSK.
Hmm.
But as in when years passed by, despite being a major source of entertainment and this connecting factor of families, friends, and neighbors, it also became a very emotional factor. Do you remember how IPL used to come during a summer vacation time, and it
Hmm.
used to be a great time because we used to spend all that time with our family and friends watching games, and we used to buy these jerseys, obviously fake jerseys because we were kids back then and we didn't know about it. So we used to buy these fake jerseys, my friends and I, and we bought all sorts of jerseys, KKR, RCB, there was even Kochi in between, right?
Hmm.
So uh, we had all those jerseys and we used to wear them during the match days. And then later on, I started. Obviously, when we grew up, I started analyzing the whole idea of IPL, and I realized that Indians are uh, per se very emotionally attached to cricket. And when you add the factor of a state representing cricket, right, it it becomes even more emotional and connecting. So if probably there's your from a particular state or city, and that city is a team, and then there are players from all over the world. So when there's usually India versus New Zealand or something, you have players of different teams. So you support India because obviously you're an Indian and you like that team and you're patriotic. But when there is a tussle between Mumbai Indians and Chennai Super Kings, and in Mumbai Indians there's also Sachin, but there's also Pollard. So you're like, wow, this team is great. And then in Chennai, you obviously I mentioned that the international players in Chennai are all my favorite. There used to be Michael Hussey, and now obviously there's so many more newest additions, young additions. So when you see all your favorite players from all over the world come together to represent a city or state you love, I think it in itself is a huge emotional connect. And obviously the amount of money which is invested in IPL during the auctions and the amount which is generated. So it is very huge. And obviously, considering the interest of the nation in this particular field, it is but obvious that it is a huge success. Nobody can deny it. And of course, we can't deny the fact that so many advertisements and sponsorships are attached to IPL. My first match, which I went to in Bangalore, it was RCB versus CSK, and that was a time when uh, the Kingfisher was a major funding
Hmm.
source, and Katrina Kaif and Deepika Padukone and everyone used to be in the stands. And um, do you remember how they used to give those small bats as gifts and small
Yeah,
bowls which used to be signed by the cricketers? So all
absolutely.
these little things they add on to the generation of revenue and the cost which has been attached. So these sponsorships, the fact that it has such a huge emotional connect, the fact that the whole idea of it being a connection, a connecting source of family and friends, it just makes it a huge success. And last but not the least, I think the whole span, just 20 overs. You're sitting and watching the TV for just maybe 2 to 3 hours, and you can take breaks in between because it has strategic timeouts and all of that, and so it just makes it all a very successful thing. But also, what I believe is that apart from all the emotional factors and keeping all that aside, there's a lot of money attached to IPL. And I think that money hasn't gone waste at all because the revenue generated is also very high. I just hope that. The matches start in India soon as the situation subsides, and we can go again, and the stadium is full again. The last time when IPL happened, that whole that fake noise which they added, it was just so disappointing. So I just hope that is replaced by the real cheering and noises soon.
Absolutely. I think you reignited a lot of memories which we have. I think memories of our childhood during that time, 2008, 2010, coming back from school, waiting when 8 p.m. will start, waiting for that extra innings T20 and all of that. I think so many memories you've reignited. So glad to hear that you've been supporting a lot of foreign cricketers as well. But to touch upon all the points you have spoken about, I think great points about revenue, about how this has been a major money generating industry, a major money generating process. And I feel you made a blend over here, a little bit of emotion as well, a little bit of insight as well. So there's two sides you covered. But who are your favorite international cricketers of CSK currently? I think Sam Curran and Moeen Ali.
Yeah, but also I think if we so I whenever I watch CSK play, I have observed each player very curiously. So do you know Imran Tahir? I mean, of course you know.
Hmm.
But Imran Tahir is one of my favorite spinners. Have you just seen he just plays really less. I don't know why, but when he does, he makes sure that he takes a wicket, and that's his great strength. I think he's a very good bowler. And apart from that, of course, Moeen Ali and Sam Curran. But after yesterday's game, I've also become a fan of Josh Hazelwood. I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
And yeah, apart from all the international players in CSK, which it's a very biased opinion because obviously they're international players of CSK. But apart from that, I really do admire Pollard as well from Mumbai Indians, and obviously AB de Villiers from RCB, and many more. But I really used to enjoy the olden times when even there used to be a face-off between Gale and Michael Hussey and all of that. I really enjoy those times. But yeah, that's it.
You could have said some player of KKR as well. You've touched upon every team, Mumbai, RCB, some player from KKR also you could have
I
said.
mean,
But
I have left off Punjab as well. Na? I mean, yeah, I should even mention Punjab. I really
hmm,
admire Maxwell.
Maxwell, yeah. Yeah, but Maxwell currently in RCB. But then I'll tell you something, Imran Tahir, his celebrations are longer than his run-ups or even a fast bowler's run-out. Because once he starts taking off, I mean, you wouldn't find him. If somebody blinks his eye, he's
Yeah,
gone. You wouldn't find Imran Tahir in the ground. So, but since you're
yeah.
talking
I mean,
about
same
CS,
with DJ Bravo, Dwayne Bravo, and obviously DJ Bravo because his song. And I think the same is with him. His celebrations are the most iconic.
Absolutely. That if we talk about iconic celebration, I think this podcast will go beyond 4 5 hours because there are so many
Right.
celebrations in the world of cricket. But it's good to see. I think, as you said, that the entire world comes to a standstill whenever IPL happens. I think those 3 4 hours, nobody can think of anything else. I think everybody cancels their plans, cancels their classes, cancels all their assignments, and only focuses on IPL during that time. But since you're talking about CSK Shireen and you're a very big supporter, if you could keep aside all your biasness and if you could like list out some of the reasons why CSK are one of the most successful IPL sides, I think barring last season, It was an aberration last season, but they've qualified for every single IPL playoff, and that's not a mean feat.
Right.
Think, imagine going to the semis, going to the playoffs every single IPL season. So that oozes a lot of consistency. So why do you think CSK are one of the most consistent sides?
Right. Of course, as you mentioned, keeping my biases aside, which I will try my best to do. But yes, keeping all biases aside, you also mentioned that they qualify every time for every single playoffs, which is a very huge achievement in itself. And I haven't really looked into all the factors, but some of the factors which I believe is that their core team, has been retained right from the start. So,
Hmm.
ever since IPL has started, CSK has these few players which have been retained. And these players are the players, the iconic players. It's MS Dhoni, it's Suresh Raina, Jadeja, and all of them. I mean, I really do miss Ashwin, but okay. Uh, their core team, which is this whole bunch of experienced players, it really adds on to the strategies of the game. Because when you have experienced players combined with some young talent, it really makes the game what it is. So, considering their whole team under MS Dhoni's leadership, I mean, we all know him as Captain Cool, but MS Dhoni is a very strategic leader as well, apart from being a great batsman and a great skipper. Um, but yeah, MS Dhoni's leadership, the core team being retained, and also the newest additions which have been made. I mean, CSK does really spend their money well. They have taken, I
Hmm.
think, the very good young talent. So Sam Carron, he is great. He's a great bowler as well. He's a great batsman as well. Moeen Ali, the same with Moeen Ali, and even I believe that CSK has a lot of all rounders. So
Hmm.
if you see Jadeja, he can single handedly help CSK push the game forward, you know. And after yesterday's game, I mean, I have max respect for Ruturaj Gaikwad. So
Yeah.
that CSK has a lot of all rounders, and also I think that this whole combination of having a team with experienced strategic players and with young talent which is coming forward. So I think that makes CSK a very good team. But yeah, apart from all of that, the support which CSK has. And have you just noticed
Absolutely.
how CSK just all their games are so filled with so much uncertainty. So their games start off as something very, all the time. Every time when CSK is playing, my mind just goes like, oh, I mean, will they win? Will they win? Will they win? And the
Yeah.
game just twists in the last. I don't know how that happens, but the game just twists in the last. So I think their way of playing the game is very, very strategic, and the way how the game twists in the last. That is why I think they're in every playoffs.
Absolutely. I think incredible points which you have raised over here. I think they keep us at the edge of our seats at all times. And then suddenly, out of the blue, they conjure some kind of magic and then they end up winning it. But honestly, I
Right.
think lovely points which you've raised about the all rounders as well. And also, I feel that every single IPL team or every single successful IPL team, their entire template has been a blend of experience and youth. You cannot only have youngsters in the team and then play. You cannot have only, oldies in the team and then play. I think CSK have been labeled as daddy's army for a lot of times, but right now they've
Right.
invested in a lot of youth. There's Krishnappa Gautam, there's Ruturaj Gaikwad, there's a host of other bowlers, Deepak Chahar, Shardul Thakur. So a lot of, there's a proper blend of youth and experience. And I agree with you. I feel that if people have a blend of both, then they will actually function better as a team. It'll be a well-oiled team, and people will understand that they are a dominant side. And also, yeah, there've been a lot of good bowlers as well. Shireen, there's another point which I feel I should add on is that their batting
Yeah.
runs deep. So their batting doesn't really end after, say, number five or number six. There is Shardul Thakur, there's Dwayne Bravo, there's Josh Hazelwood, you
Right.
mentioned a little bit earlier. Even he can bat. So there are literally all the 11 players in the team who can bat. So that is another ingredient I think which CSK have in themselves to be a successful team. And thank you so much,
Yeah, I
Shireen,
think even
for
the
yeah.
additions of them as batsmen. So,
Hmm.
after even Dhoni gets out, you obviously are a little disappointed, but you've not completely given up because you know that
Hmm.
there's Jadeja after that. So their whole placement of players as batsmen, it's very nice and again very strategic. So yeah, I really like that point and I agree with it now that I think of it.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel that Dhoni is going a little off color right now, but then it's just a few days before he'll again unleash his all his explosiveness and all that we've
Right.
known MS Dhoni to be. And yeah, thank you so much, Shireen, for that. Now let's digress a little bit from cricket. I want to touch upon Olympics. I know that you've covered the Olympics right now for NewsX, like all the
Yeah.
designs. I'm going to link the page where you made all those amazing designs so that people can know that how good you are with designing as well, since you said that you aren't really interested in it, but then still you gave it your shot, you gave it your 120%, and all the designs came out really well, insightful as well, because they covered almost all the events that were happening. But if we talk about Tokyo Olympics as well as Paralympics, Serene, I feel that this has been one of the best campaigns of Team India. We won 7 medals in Tokyo Olympics. That's the best we've ever encountered. And I feel that there was a surge in viewership thanks to Sony, because Sony have done an incredible job. But do you feel that this is going to change the landscape of how people view different sports? You feel that only this year this craze will be there, or after a few years it'll just go again when the next Olympics come, it'll reignite, it'll resurface? You feel that people will shift away from cricket and football also now, or maybe the norm will continue that cricket is the best sport and nobody's going to look at Olympics till there's an event? So what do you think will happen?
Of course, Shanto. On a personal level, what I believe is that the Olympic Games have been a major source of learning for me this time. And before, I mean, obviously, I did cover the Olympic Games. I had to put out updates every day, which you have helped me with also. But apart from that, I believe that it just what started off as something as just a task to cover the Olympic Games, it transformed into my interest to watch those games. This whole idea of cricket just being the only game, the only thing which you're religiously giving yourself into, it is one very regressive idea in India. And this time, considering what happened at the Tokyo Games, so we started off with Mirabai Chanu winning in weightlifting, and then it ended with Neeraj Chopra bagging a gold in javelin throw. So it has given a really deep perspective to Indians on the fact that it's not only cricket and football and everything. It is also these games, these small games, which are just very low key, मतलब हमारी नज़र में low key है, but these
Hmm.
are so huge. I mean, people are achieving milestones in these games, and
Hmm.
not only all these games, but also the the way hockey has been looked into during this time. Um, I watched every hockey game because I got so deeply invested in it. So I'll tell you, when I was watching the women's hockey game, I could personally feel the rush inside me, the excitement, the rush. And not only because it was Indian hockey, but it's also because the women have been so good at the Olympics this time. I think Tokyo 2020 saw a huge achievement space for women in general. So even in India, Mirabai Chanu, Lavlina Borgohain, and the Indian women hockey team. And apart from that, not only the achievements, but also the small little steps which players took from other fields. So I remember, I think, updating this one time on the NewsX page, and I saw that walking was a game, a competitive game, and I realized there are so many games I don't know about. So Aditi Ashok in golf, you know,
Hmm.
and Kamalpreet Kaur in discus throw. So these are all things which came to me as a surprise, which I never knew before. Maybe it
Hmm.
was a personal lack of understanding, but when I started knowing about it, I realized that there are so many things that not have not been touched upon. It's just not the it's not just only the Indians thinking, but it's also how the media portrays everything in a way in which only cricket and football and all these very famous sports are being put into the limelight. So I believe that this year's Tokyo Games have been very successful because obviously we all know the buzz around Neeraj Chopra. Even IPL has released a whole advertisement around it, and this whole buzz around Neeraj Chopra is good. But what we need to hype more is the fact that there is javelin throw, and then there is discus throw, there is golf, there is weightlifting, there is boxing. There's so many games that Indians are so good at, and we should appreciate them more. I think one major factor here is the funding and utilization of resources, which is very important. The sports ministry and the Indian government and all, they have been putting out schemes and all of that. But just funding in cricket and games in which you think that players will go ahead is not enough. There needs to be a lot more funding. And it's a long way to go, but I believe that this hype will not go down because now we have seen that now this thing has been highlighted really well in front of us. So we have seen this. I personally, this hype will not go down because I am surely going to watch these games next time also, and it is going to be continued, and I believe it should be. So let's see how the campaigning goes um, after 4 5 years as well, and let's see.
Absolutely. I feel that, like you mentioned, that more than the achievements, it's very important to stress on the individual sports because a lot of people didn't know that there's a sport called javelin. Nobody knew until it came in the next day's newspaper. There's somebody that actually won a gold medal. So a lot of these things need to be highlighted more. Like you said, the media needs to play a more hands-on role because the media is essentially a platform. And I feel that a lot more focus needs to be given on the journey, how things pan out for the athletes. And this shouldn't just be restricted to once every 4 years, once every 3 years, every single year. Like you said, they need to focus more on the journey. They need to focus more on how things really pan out. And I hope like the entire landscape changes and people look at it in a more optimistic way. People understand that there's way to sports than just cricket, than just football and just some other mainstream sports. So thank you so much, Shirin, for that. But coming to the last question, I feel that this is a topic which is a little deep, and a lot of people have different views about this. I know that you're a huge advocate of mental health. We've had a lot of conversations about this as well. Mental health issues are on the rise. In the start of the podcast, also, I was talking about it. There's been a huge, unprecedented surge in the number of mental health cases, not just in every other field, in sports as well. I feel that a lot of athletes are coming out clean right now that yes, they had mental health issues. So you feel that this is a good thing which they're doing, that they're coming out in the open. You feel that this should be a norm or a template which other athletes, other people who probably won't be very confident about, actually addressing their issues in the public. You think that they should actually, take mental health a little bit more seriously?
Okay, so what I was saying is that what I believe is personally that every feeling comes with its own disadvantages and advantages. One major downfall when you're when you're watching a game is that when you start religiously worshipping the games and its players so much, you often forget that they are humans as well, right?
Hmm.
And I think that's a very sad part. And we as humans are all collectively responsible because I think I saw this post on Instagram a few days back when Sania Mirza said that people often forget that sports persons are humans too, and it affects us too. So this whole point about how we assume that sports persons are always on the go to go and make the country proud कि जाओ तुम देश को uh, खुश करके आओ and proud करके आओ, but it's not always like that. It's the same as your relatives telling you कि just in your board exams do well, and make us all proud, and that pressure on us. I mean, if we can have that pressure, it is as human as them to feel that pressure as well. And of course, they're a sports person, they are better trained, but at the end of the day, they have the same functioning too. So you remember how during the Tokyo Games, Simon Biles, a gymnast, she withdrew from the game citing mental health
Mhm.
reasons, and it was a very brave step of it was a very bold step to take. It was very brave, and I think this is very momentous in the whole Tokyo 2020 game because just imagine you're telling your relative कि मेरा एग्जाम अच्छा नहीं गया क्योंकि I wasn't feeling well that time. I wasn't mentally feeling well. How would your relatives take it?
Mhm.
So the whole idea of how some people criticized her and some people went gaga over her. But I think the whole, I believe personally that it was a great step
Mhm.
because you are stepping down of something which is so grave. If you don't have a good mental health, you just can't perform well. So it was a very bold step, and it was very very momentous, and I really respect her for that. Apart from that, I've also read a few years back, Michael Phelps. He
Mhm.
is a record breaking winner,
Mhm.
but he has also suffered from mental health issues, and he's been very open about his depression, about times trigger warning he had suicidal thoughts. And it is very important for sports persons like these, legendary sports person, to come up and speak and talk about these issues because अगर वो नहीं करेंगे तो कौन करेगा,
Mhm.
है ना? So
Absolutely.
it's just that when you start, there needs to be a start from the grassroots level, and that's when people will come up and talk about it. If you don't talk about it, there won't be much awareness about it. People will consider it a taboo, and then it it just it's just very important as humans for us to understand as well that you just can't take the sports person for granted because they have a family, they have their own mental health to take care of, and it's a lot more things that come into the package. You remember this time, I think this year is only when MS Soni didn't perform well,
Mhm.
and people started criticizing and sending threats to his daughter,
Mhm.
and for no fault of his. So it you don't realize sitting behind the screen how much bullying affects this player in general. But it is very important to speak about it. It is very important for the media as well.
Mhm.
To obviously media plays a huge role everywhere, but it's very important for the media to um, uh, you know per se have a say in this
Mhm.
because we all highlight achievements, we all bring this into limelight, but it is also very important to debunk the notion that players are always fit and ready and on the go and
Mhm.
go matlab, jao, make your country proud. It's not always the case like that. And simultaneously we need to, as audiences, become very understanding as well. So yeah, I think this is just a start, and people need to speak up more. And I just hope there is a change very soon. There's a transformation in how every industry has. This industry will face its transformation soon as well.
Thank you. I think I haven't ever heard a more better explanation of all things when it comes to mental health. And as you said that, honestly, the celebrities, the sports persons, they need to go a notch higher and uh, come out actually come out talking about the mental health issues because whatever they do, there are some people who blindly follow them. And if they actually talk about the mental health issues, then a lot of people will follow suit, will take it a little more seriously. And thank you for that giving that comparison of relatives because I can completely relate with that. After board result, after any particular milestone happening in anyone's life, there'll be those relatives who'll constantly call you up. Wishes देने के समय there'll be no one, but honestly asking the result, asking what happened in the end process, there'll be a lot of people. I'm sure you also encountered a lot of your relatives asking how much you got in your board results, but no, nobody wished you good luck before your
Yeah,
exams. I've faced a lot of people
every
like this.
one of us, I think, has experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. So, relatives, really, if you all are listening to this, please don't kill me later, but then you guys need to change the way you look at people. But thank you so much, Shireen. I think I'm going to take a snippet of this particular episode and then I'm going to share it with everyone so that people understand and there's more awareness about mental health. Thank you so much, Shireen. So now let's move on to the rapid fire round. I think one of the most fiery part of this particular podcast, or the most anticipated parts of this podcast. I cannot wait to shoot some amazing questions to you, Shireen. So the first question is, if one day you wake up as MS Dhoni, what is the first thing that you're gonna do?
I don't know, probably go and reassure the CSK fans that, yeah, I'm coming back. Wait for me. Please just don't get disappointed in me. I'm coming back soon.
Okay. Who do you think will win the IPL this year?
See, again, this might come from a very biased perspective,
Yeah.
but I believe it should be CSK
Okay.
because considering how it is being continued from the last games as well, it should be CSK or if not CSK. I mean, there shouldn't be any if not, but if not CSK, I think it should be Mumbai Indians.
Mumbai Indians. Okay, got it. Next up, if you had to choose between being a journalist and the sports agent of one of your favorite cricketers, MS Dhoni, which one would you choose?
I'd still choose being a journalist because that way, you never know. I will get a chance to maybe interview him sometime in life.
Yeah.
So that would be a better way.
Okay. Next up, who is your favorite CSK cricketer of all
It's been too much of MS Dhoni, so I obviously don't want to bring him up again. But all time, it should be Ravindra Jadeja. I adore him. I respect him because everything he has been through, everything he has crossed his obstacles through, it's just very very respectful. So as a batsman, as a bowler, everything, I adore him and I respect him. So yeah, Ravindra Jadeja.
Okay, Ravindra Jadeja. Last question. Okay, brace yourself. Okay. Who is a better batsman, Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma?
I am not thinking right now that Virat Kohli is an RCB, so I'm thinking of Virat Kohli as an Indian player. So of course Virat Kohli.
Thank you so much. So it's Virat Kohli. So with that, we come to an end to this particular episode of SporTank Originals. I had one of the best conversations so far
Wait,
in
wait,
this
I won't
podcast.
get a hamper or something.
You're the
I
only
won't get a hamper.
contestant. You're the only contestant. So whether you win it unanimously, we all
Okay,
decided that
fine.
you win it.
Okay. Let this be off record. I need a hamper. Okay.
Okay, done. Whenever we are coming back to college, I'll get a big hamper. Much better, much glamorous than the one Karan Johar gives in Coffee with Karan. I'll give you a much better one.
I'll be waiting.
Okay. Thank you so much, Shireen. So with that, we come to an end to this particular episode. I hope you had a good time. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence. But before going, Shireen, I wanted to ask you if there's one particular advice which you would like to give to upcoming journalists like us. If one particular, you feel that you've learned whatever you've been in the industry for 2 to 3 years, what is that particular learning which you would want to convey to them?
Firstly, thank you so much. If I had to give obviously a vote of thanks, I have to thank you for so many reasons. One of them being calling me, and the second being to just make. I have never spoken so much sense for so long. So just thank you for making me
Mm,
speak so much sense and
mm,
educating me, talking about so many things which have not been very spoken of.
mm,
And apart from that, yeah, journalism. I don't know if I'm in the position yet to give this advice, but in all these, I'm currently in my third year of journalism, but all these experiences and all these learnings and interning with certain organizations, one major takeaway is that this industry is very tough
mm,
and it needs sensitive people as well, but when you're sensitive you need to realize that it can take a toll on your mental health as well. So when you're in this field, when you're in this particular field, be it any kind of journalism, not only political journalism or legal journalism, it is also true for all fields, sports journalism as well, entertainment journalism as well, that be very true to yourself and just all these experiences, don't let it get under your skin. Just let it toughen you, let it make you strong, but don't ever take it to your head. And also another thing is that you just don't need to write and speak. There are many more things that you need to learn, and I personally need to learn myself. So there are so many factors, designing, video editing, which I
Mhm.
haven't touched upon. So just increase your skill set, be strong, be tough, which I am trying myself. So that.
Absolutely. Thank you. Golden pieces of advices to everyone. You're also one of the strongest people I've known. And that's so true that people need to understand that journalism isn't only about writing, isn't only about speaking, breaking news at the earliest. There are a lot of things which happen behind the scene as well. Production, design, all of that, and handling the camera, all of that are things which a journalism student needs to know. Thank you so much, Shirin, for coming in an episode. And I had one of the best experiences. And hope you have a great day and a great year.
Likewise,
Thank you. We are
you
humbled.
too. Thank you so much for calling me.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Cheers. Bye bye.